In our last class, which I had done in the college, I had discussed all the different types of lymphocytes and all the different types of immune cells are available in the blood. We had discussed the cells of the innate immunity. We had discussed the cells of the adaptive immunity. So right now, I'm not going to get into the that portion of the class. I'll be moving on to the next part of the class, where I'll be discussing the organs of the immune system. So briefly, at the outset, I'd like to give you an in view that the lymphoid organs can be divided into the primary or the central lymphoid organs and the secondary or the peripheral lymphoid organs. The primary lymphoid organs are basically thymus and bone marrow, where maturation of lymphocytes takes place. When we come to the secondary or the peripheral lymphoid organs, such as the lymph nodes, the spleen, then we have the mucosal associated lymphoid tissue, we have the gut associated lymphoid tissue. What happens? These lymphoid tissue trap the antigen and also provide sites for mature lymphocytes to interact with the antigen. Another important thing that is to be noted that once the mature lymphocytes have been generated in the primary lymphoid organs, they circulate in the blood and the lymphatic system. They circulate through the lymphatic systems, reaching different parts of the body, reaching different tissues of the body. So next we move on to, this is a brief overview. So it is the hematopoietic stem cells develop into the liver, and later on they migrate to the bone marrow and the thymus, and from the thymus the mature lymphocytes then move into the different categories of the secondary lymphoid tissue. Now if we look into this particular picture, you can see their blue colors are the primary lymphoid organs, so that is the thymus and the bone marrow. And you can see the lymph nodes, which is the light blue shade, lymph nodes and spleen. So these are the lymph nodes, and you can see the spleen. And then we have variety of mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, that is a lymphoid tissue associated with the various mucosal membrane of the body. So you can see at the neck region, we are having the tonsils, which is a very common lymphoid tissue. You people have heard about it from quite young age. Then we add in the gut region, we have the Peyer's patch and the laminar propria. So as you can see, this picture also clearly elaborates that there is two categories of primary lymphoid organs. The stem cells, on reaching the bone marrow, they differentiate into the B lymphocyte, which stays in the bone marrow and matures in the bone marrow. But the stem cells destined to become the T lymphocytes migrate to the thymus, and once they are mature out there, so the T and the B lymphocytes which mature then move into the secondary lymphoid organs. The secondary lymphoid organs can be again differentiated into encapsulated, that is, they may have an outer capsule or they may not have outer capsule. And as you can see, the definite functions of some secondary lymphoid tissue, the function of lymph node is to trap antigens of tissue. Spleen specifically traps the antigen of the blood, and MALT, as you can see, specifically traps the antigen of the mucosal tissue. So this is a scheme of how the lymphoid system or the immune system along with its primary and secondary lymphoid organs works. Now coming to the first primary lymphoid organ, the bone marrow. The bone marrow is the primary lymphoid organ, and if we consider the development of the lymphocytes, the B lymphocytes are throughout developed here. Bone marrow is, however, not the site of B cell development in all species. In birds, the lymphoid organ called the bursa of Fabricius, associated with gut, is the primary site of B cell maturation. In mammals such as primates and rodents, there is no bursa, and there is no single counterpart which is called as a primary lymphoid organ. In cattle and sheep, the primary lymphoid tissue hosting the maturation, proliferation, and diversification of B cells is the fetal spleen. Later on from the spleen, the function patch of tissue embedded in the wall of the intestine called the ileal Peyer's patch. So in cattle and sheep, as you can see, even though the whole maturation, proliferation, diversification of the B cell occurs in the fetal spleen, later on the function is taken up by the Peyer's patch. But in the case of rabbit too, the rabbit also uses the gut associated tissue such as the appendix as the primary lymphoid tissue. So it depends from species to species, but bone marrow is an important site of maturation in case of mammals. The hematopoietic stem cells develop into the bone marrow. It is within this bone marrow niche that the lymphocytes are divided into two basic lineages, the T cell lineage and the B cell lineage. If you remember my earlier class on thymus, I had said that when the lymphocytes with the CD44 receptor reaches the thymus to the high endothelial venules, they move towards the cortical region. At that time, they are not yet committed to the T cell lineage. Moment the IL-7 is expressed by the nerve cells, if you remember, the T lymphocytes get committed to the T cell lineage. So from the bone marrow, the T cells move towards the thymus. Now here are the B cells within the bone marrow. As you can see, within the bone marrow, the pro B cells partially develop into immature B cells. Later on, depending on whether the B cells are exposed to antigen or not, what we see is that some B cells are forced to die an apoptotic death, while those which are exposed to antigen mature. Further, they move into the blood. And as you can see, some weak antigens move into the high endothelial venules to the secondary lymphoid organs. This is, as you can see from this picture. Now, as you can see from this picture, this is a structure of a lymph node. So within the lymph node, when the B lymphocytes arises, there are two parts of the lymph node. As you can see, the cortex and the medulla. There are some centers known as the germinal centers. Further maturation of the lymphocytes occur within the germinal centers. The B lymphocytes depart via the lymphatics. If they further encounter specific antigen, then we see further activation of the B lymphocytes, and then we see the effector cells of B lymphocytes. So as you can see, this is basically a summary of the life of B lymphocytes that arise in the bone marrow, partially mature in the bone marrow, and then move through the blood via the lymph node to become firmly mature. We have studied in details the maturation of T lymphocytes in the thymus. So if we may move on to the next important primary lymphoid organ, that is the thymus. In my previous class, I had in details described how the T lymphocytes are matured in the thymus. This is a basic structure of the thymus. The thymus can be divided into a cortical part and a medullary part. And if you remember, we studied the presence of nerve cells in the subcapsulary region. And then there are two categories of thymus, and there were two categories of epithelial cells, the cortical epithelial cells and the medullary epithelial cells. The cortex is densely packed with immature T cells, which are collectively known as thymocytes. And the medulla is sparsely populated with thymocytes. One thing that should be noted is that both the cortex and the medulla of the thymus are crisscrossed by a three-dimensional stromal cell network composed of epithelial cells, dendritic cells. So both of them are crisscrossed by this three-dimensional network of epithelial cells, dendritic cells, and macrophages, which make up the framework of the organ and contribute to the growth and maturation of the lymphocytes or the thymocytes. Many of these stromal cells, in fact, we studied earlier, interact directly with the developing thymocytes. There are the presence of the nerve cells. So how the T lymphocytes mature within the thymocytes, and ultimately from a double negative thymocyte, they mature to become a single positive thymocytes with specificity for either MHC class 1 molecule or MHC class 2 molecule had been discussed elaborately in my previous class. This is okay. So this is a simplified picture. If you remember, I had said that from the bone marrow, the double negative lymphocytes arrive in the cortical medullary junction, and from there the double negative lymphocytes, which are still CD44 positive, move on to the subcapsular region, where in the presence of the IL-7 produced from the nerve cells, the double negative cells are then converted to via stepwise process to double positive, single positive, and from single positive, they finally, once they are finally mature, they move out into the blood. So this is the position of the thymus, as you can see. And with age, it has been seen that this thymus atrophies. That is, the thymus gradually reduces in size. So as we proceed, as the age increases, the thymus gradually atrophies. Now coming on to one important part before moving into the secondary lymphoid organ is the lymphatics. Now the lymphatics are very important because it is through the medium of lymph that the lymphocytes move. They come out of the blood, they get into the blood. So it's a medium from blood, they come into the lymph, and through the lymph they move. So if you look into this, particular structure, you can see that the broader blotch, the cream color blotch is the blood. And you can see the small yellow circles. These are basically the different lymphoid tissue. Now let's see the movement in and out. From bone marrow and thymus, the lymphocytes move out into the blood. From the blood, they can move out into the lymph nodes. They move into the lymph nodes. As you can see, in each case, whenever they are entering a particular lymphoid tissue, they enter the tissue by high endothelial venules. You can see HEV written. So these are high endothelial venules. So the lymphocytes are moving into the lymphoid tissue from the blood by the high endothelial venules. They can stay there or further through the lymphatics. You can see this arrow. Through the lymphatics, they are moving to the mesenteric lymph nodes. From the mesenteric lymph nodes, they can move into the blood. Or again from the blood, they can move into the peripheral tissue. Again, through the lymphatics, they are moving into the lymph nodes. Or they can move into the blood. As you can see, from a lymph node, they can move into the blood. So there is a constant communication between the blood and the lymphatics, and the lymphocytes shuttle to and fro between the blood and the lymphocytes. This is another very simplified picture. As you can see, let us imagine. So this is the mesenteric lymph node, thoracic duct, lung, genitourinary tract, lactating mammary gland, salivary gland, lamina propria, Peyer's patch. Now let us see. There is an antigenic exposure in the small intestine. So the message is being taken over, and you can see the movement of the lymphocytes. Just follow it. My cursor is moving. So it moves here. It comes into blood. Sorry, very sorry. It comes into the blood. Through the blood, the lymphocytes are moving. Or it can move out, during the process, can mature to become an IgA, because IgAs are extensively found in the mucosal surface. Or it moves and produces, since it has matured to a particular clone of IgA, it moves through the blood and can come out into the lactating mammary gland or the genitourinary tract or the lungs. So this is how the lymphocytes circulate between the lymphatic and the, between the lymphatics and the blood, and thus they are exposed to all kinds of antigens in the process.